feel like
Okay.
we all have very similar ideas of what makes a toxic relationship and the red flags that are in them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll go through, like, beginning of relationship red flags. So, like, when you first get someone...
Way too clingy.
I was not even done with my sentence.
Alright, continue.
Okay, like, within the first week of meeting someone, what are the red flags that you could find?
They're way too clingy.
Thank you. What do you mean by way too clingy?
Like, they expect you to respond to text messages
immediately.
Yeah.
Always be able to pick up the phone. Completely disregard the fact you have a life outside of them.
Yep.
Or always constantly asking to meet up every single day.
Doesn't want you around your friends.
Overly invested. So, like, if you get together and within that week they want to meet your parents, move in, meet your children, and all that, if they want suddenly to be on your phone plan and in control of your finances, that's a problem.
Definitely.
100%.
And these are, like, the overly dramatic red flags, but we've known people.
We've known some people over the years.
I would say if every ex was just blatantly crazy and you had nothing to do with the relationship failing, I feel like that's a red flag.
Yeah. But if you walk into a relationship with someone and they are still getting, like, if the time frame for their last relationship and this current relationship they are jumping in with you is very short, you are a rebound. There was a problem with this person. They have not found the time to figure themselves out.
Or they're cheating on the first one with the second one, and they're just lining up their next relationship.
There is a potential for that. We've known people. One of the things I do want to point out is that if you are looking for red flags, you will find red flags. You will find them in anything. If you are looking for green flags, you will find them.
Right, and sometimes, depending on who you've been with before, one of them could be a green flag, but you view it as a red flag because of your past trauma.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes it's both people to an extent. Like, you've also been a bad partner.
Yeah.
And you need to work on yourself. That's why I always emphasize, like we've talked about, platonic relationships, invest in yourself.
That's another thing.
Make sure that you are genuinely okay and loving yourself before you try to extend that to another person.
If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else? Can I get an amen?
Amen. I was going to say, from the start, you can't go into a relationship looking for everything you will ever need. Humans are pack creatures. No one person is going to have the entire personality and package of a pack of people.
Right.
That's not how it works. Your relationship, your romantic partner, cannot be everything to you. If you put them on that pedestal, you are literally setting them up for failure.
Because it's not designed for one person to be on. I also think maybe Disney movies or movies in general, love stories, chick flicks, if you will, kind of set a lot of people up for failure because a lot of people think that they need to be saved by Prince Charming. And that's not what relationships are about.
That's what I mean. People put the emphasis on hitting those major milestones for a relationship way too quickly. So, like, you have these Disney movies like fucking Aladdin takes place in like a fucking week.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, they've decided they're going to get married. They know practically nothing about each other other than
the fact that Aladdin was lying the whole time.
The entire time. And then was going to betray his friends, because he was not going to free the genie in case he needed a third wish, even though that was the main deal with the genie. He was shitty to his friends. He's going to be a shitty husband. That's all there is.
I just think people... Okay, so there's a chemical reaction when people invest in you. You feel validated, but it's false validation because dopamine is literally released into your brain and it gives you the feel-good emotion. Yeah. And you relate that to love, but that is not love. And especially if you grew up in a home where you were not validated, you're craving that from any angle you can get it. So as soon as you latch onto it, it's like a leech. But you have to be able to differentiate attention versus love.
Also, if you have known someone for like a week tops, and are in this relationship with someone for like a week tops, perhaps don't trauma dump your life story on them.
Oh, yeah. Trauma's meant to be shared over long periods. Because it's not fair to the person that you're with. You don't know what their triggers are. You don't know what trauma they have, if they have PTSD or some other wild shit going on. Don't
trauma dump off of that. And this isn't a, we don't want to hear about your problems. It's a, we're strangers.
Be respectful of the person you're with. Now, if you
want to trauma dump, get you a therapist.
Big mood.
I agree. Hey, just on that topic, everybody go to therapy, even if you think your problems are not big problems. They're worth going to therapy. Even if you didn't have a particularly traumatic life, I think it is worth going to therapy just to try it out. That way you can be a better partner yourself, because a lot of times it's also you. I hate to tell you, but it's not always the other person. Sometimes you gotta work on yourself too.
It's also very much if your partner is against you going to therapy,
that's a red flag.
If they automatically think therapy means you're like, they think there's something wrong with them, and like they aren't taking it, like, or if they're trying to convince you that your therapist is just telling you what you want to hear.
That's not what therapists do.
That's not what therapists do. If anything, therapists are telling you the things you don't want to hear.
I just think, and I don't know, I think people, especially with therapy, they think when they go to therapy that people are just going to validate them, and that is part of it. But it's
more a matter of you do feel that way about this thing, and you're digging into why you feel that way about that thing. And it's about finding ways to deal with it that are healthy and not toxic to yourself. That's not self-destructive. It is not your friend's responsibility to be your therapist.
No, nor your partner's.
Or your partner's. Or your family.
But a thing that I saw going into therapy is that things were opening up, and it was incredibly difficult to relive those things, but it was necessary to process them and get through. And it wasn't just happy-go-lucky. It was very often painful to go to therapy and sit through those emotions, because I had never done that as a child.
Yeah, because if you've been through trauma and like you're in the your particular period of life with the trauma, you tend to block it out more. Well, you're unlocking those doors, and like it's uncomfortable. Like, it's not sunshine and rainbows. No.
No, I often told my therapist, Lisa, that it felt like a suitcase or a closet is what I would refer to it. Like you had packed it full for years and years and years, and every time you had a traumatic event, you would shove it in the suitcase or the closet. And I'm coming here to you, Lisa, and I thought that I was just going to inch the door open. But when we started, you flung that motherfucker open and stuff started falling out.
Like it was you open the door, everything's falling out. Like the way I had it described to me is very, like the baggage. Like everyone has their own baggage. Some of that baggage is more tattered than others. And the more tattered the baggage, the more like not as put together they are, because like they're fraying at the seams too. Like if your baggage is fraying at the seams, so are you.
Yeah, and sometimes, again with the baggage or the door, sometimes when that stuff comes out, you forgot what all you shoved in there, especially the stuff at the bottom and the back.
Suddenly you find something that was from like a decade ago, and you're like, I didn't realize that was here.
Yeah. Other people refer to it as the vault, but a lot of times when you put it in there, it's to forget about it. But your body still remembers that emotion. You could still feel it. And another thing through reading psychology books is that trauma can be passed down through DNA, through male sperm and through the womb. Like you could actually have your mother's and father's and grandfather and grandmother's trauma embedded into your DNA.
Yeah, this is how evolution works.
You have no idea why.
You have no idea what trauma they went through, but boy,
but now you're in these situations, and now you're feeling extremely uneasy and uncomfortable and anxious.
Yep.
Considering both sides of my family have like this massive cocktail of mental wiring, like the depression is from my mother's side, the anxiety is from my father's side.
Right.
The autism is from both.
Oh yeah, we have. So the crazy thing is when you go to a doctor, they'll ask you, do you have cancer in your family? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you have diabetes?
They won't ask about your mental
states. I have anger issues going in my family, abuse, trauma, toxic domestic relationships, like men hitting women, women hitting men. Like all of that has just clusterfucked itself into a little Ruby. And I'm just trying to make my way through this.